For those of you who have been subscribed to the channel for a while now, you know how high I am on Pistons big man Jalen Duren. But for those who don't know, I believe he was the Pistons' best rookie in 2023. I think long term he's the second most important player on the team. I truly believe he has star upside, and I don't think most NBA fans truly understand just how good of a player he was as a rookie and how much potential he has, because in my opinion he has potential to be a special player, which is what I want to talk about in this video. But quickly, before we go any further, if you're new and like basketball, I would really appreciate if you would like, subscribe, and hit notification bell. I'm notified whenever I release a video. I make videos about basketball all the time, and liking and subscribing are the two best ways you can help me out in the YouTube algorithm and help me reach my goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Let's try and get 100 likes on this video so YouTube will recommend it to others. Anyways, let's talk about Jalen Duren. Jalen Duren has the ideal frame for a big. At 6'11", 250 pounds with a 7'5" wingspan, Duren has one of the most physically developed frames we have ever seen from a player this young. On top of that, he's also a really good athlete. He moves well in the open floor, has good lateral movement skills, he's an explosive leaper, he's incredibly strong, and when you add that to his skills and tangibles, you truly see the potential for a special player. He's a high field player on both ends of the floor, he's a high motor player on both ends of the floor, and overall he has monster potential on both ends of the floor. When you look at everything he has already and the room he has to grow and develop, it really makes the fact that he's absurdly young for a player going into his second NBA season even more insane. He was the youngest player in the NBA as a rookie, and he was also young enough to be a freshman in college when he was a rookie in the NBA. He's younger than a decent amount of the first round picks from the 2023 draft, which makes everything he did as a rookie even more impressive. Outside of his absurd play strength, what really stands out on offense with Jalen Duren in terms of his scoring ability is his hands. Duren has incredible hands, and he uses that on top of his height, long arms, and athleticism to have an incredible catch radius, which makes him a premier roll man and lob threat. He also has good touch around the basket as well. I think he has pretty good control around the basket, especially for somebody that young, and paint scoring is the bread and butter of his scoring package. He shot 72.6% on 4.4 restricted area attempts per game, which accounted for 74.6% of his field goal attempts. He also shot 65.9% on 5.6 overall paint area attempts, which accounts for both restricted and non-restricted area attempts. I know you might think that isn't impressive because you expect a big to convert at a really good rate, really efficiently in the paint, but I don't think that's true. You still have to convert those looks at the basket. Defenses know that was where he was trying to score. It's where he scored a majority of his points. And Duren wasn't playing with a premier playmaker or a big-time offensive hub to take some of the pressure off of him, and he was still an uber-efficient paint scorer. Now, I do have optimism for Duren outside of paint scoring. He has a functional handle, and he has some flashes as a shooter and creator. We saw it in small samples as a rookie, and we also saw it in Summer League. Now, I do think we need to see it more based off weight in Summer League, because he did it a lot in Summer League and converted a lot in Summer League, but it still is a small sample in a different setting than a usual NBA game. So I do think that we need to see more of it moving forward to be truly confident that he could grow and develop in these areas. But I am optimistic based off the flashes I've seen. Now, I don't think Duren is going to be a big-time creator, but I do think he has the tools to grow into a guy who is more than just a spoon-fed lob threat. He has a good form on his jumper, He has the touch as an offensive player to grow in that area. He has shown the functional handle and high feel to be more than just a roll man and lob threat. Now, only time will tell if his jumper and creation will develop, but based off what we've seen in the offseason, what we saw in Summer League, and even some of what we saw in his rookie season, he has shown some willingness to try certain things and certain opportunities. And I do think that based off his motor, based off his work ethic, and based off what we saw, I do think that you should be optimistic about him growing in these areas. I still believe being a roll man and lob threat will be the bread and butter of his scoring, but I do think he could develop his creation to a competent level, and I do think he can grow into a guy that can punish defenses with the occasional mid-range jumper, but I don't think it's something that he will go to all the time. I'm not saying he's going to be Joel Embiid as an offensive creator. I'm not saying he's going to be prime LaMarcus Aldridge as a mid-range shooter. But I do think these areas can be developed to a point it's a legit complement to a dominant paint scoring, roll man, lob threat offensive game. Duren is also a really good passer. He has high feel, he has good vision, he makes good reads, he's unselfish and makes the right decision and really just does everything you need him to do to try and win a basketball game in this regard. And I think his passing in the P&O as a roll man with his back to the basket and in high-low situations should be expanded upon more in year 2 because I don't feel like they utilized his passing nearly as much as they should have in his rookie season. I felt like that really was a bad idea because it's a skill that can be developed further, but I would say he's already good at these things right now, so it just made sense to use it more than they did. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to be Nikola Jokic as a passer or a 7+ assists per game guy or like a point center type player, but I do think he has the ability to be more than a 1.1 assists per game player that he was as a rookie. I think he could be one of the better connecting passing bigs in the NBA, and I do think he could be a 3.5 to 4, maybe even a bit more than that assist per game player. I'm really excited to see the pick and roll duo between Cade and Duren this season, with Cade Cunningham coming back from the injury that he suffered that kept him out for basically all of his second NBA season. And I really like it because both of them are high feel offensive players, and I expand on it more in its own video about why I believe that those two are the offensive duo to build around in Detroit. But to get the basic idea of it, I think the potential pick and roll duo with the ball handler and roll man both being high field players that can make reads as passers and score in those situations has the potential to be truly special. While I just talked about how much offensive upside I believe he has, and basically why I believe he has a lot more offensive upside than people give him credit for, what Duren does defensively is what truly makes him a potential special player. Defensively, I think he has a chance to be among the best players in the NBA one day. He has the strength, frame, athleticism, and movement skills. He has good ground coverage. He can play multiple defensive coverages. Maybe not a true 1-5 defender, but he can hold his own on switches. He can block shots. He has all the intangibles in that area. He has active hands on and off the ball, can play passing lanes. But what makes me believe Duren has potential to be special on defense, on top of, and really more importantly than all the physical and athletic tools he has, is his motor and his feel. Having the motor is key to being a great defensive player. We see guys all the time that have all the physical tools to be great defenders, but they aren't great defenders because they don't have the motor. You can't live off physical tools alone to be good on defense, especially in the NBA. You have to be locked in, you have to have the energy, and Duren has the motor to be a great defensive player. It's been the case since he was in high school. On top of that, he's one of the smartest defensive big prospects I have ever seen, and that's regardless of age, which makes the fact that he's doing it at such a young age even more impressive. He's an excellent defensive communicator, one of the best defensive communicators I've seen among prospects since I started this in 2016. He makes good rotations. He reads opposing offenses very well. It can call out plays, knows where guys are going to be, and knows where his teammates are supposed to be, and he communicates that. He has all the tools to be a true defensive anchor. And he's not perfect by any means, because there are things he needs to work on, but those things he needs to work on, I feel like are fixable, like his foul discipline. Sometimes he had the occasional rookie mistake, but he was a rookie. Again, he was young enough to be a freshman in college, playing in the NBA as a rookie and playing real minutes in the NBA. So he's going to have a few mistakes here and there, and especially with the fouls, and those things do need to get better, but I am confident they will get better as early as this season, because he had the reps, he got to play through his mistakes, and that was a good thing for his development. I think Duren is going to be all defense level good, and I wouldn't be shocked if he was in Defensive Player of the Year talks in his prime. He has the physical tools, athleticism, motor, feel, and intangibles to be among the best defenders in the league. I view Jalen Duren in a way that lines up with a concept I believe about modern day bigs, and that concept is that big men in the NBA didn't just evolve over the past few years, but big men within the archetypes also evolved over the past few years. Jokic and Embiid, to me, are the evolved version of the archetype that DeMarcus Cousins was in his prime. High-level offensive bigs that you build your team around. Both Embiid and Jokic are high-level offensive bigs that you can build your team around. But they're more efficient, and they're way more productive scorers than Boogie was in his prime, in my opinion. And they also do other things better. Embiid is a better defensive player than Boogie was. Jokic is a better passer than Boogie was. And overall, when you look at those two compared to DeMarcus Cousins, they aren't really even in the same tier, even if the archetype idea for all three of those players was the same. Because Embiid and Jokic evolved over the last few years to be this version of that archetype. For Jalen Duren, to me, he's the evolved version of the non-offensive hub bigs that made all-star teams in the mid-2010s, like Andre Drummond and DeAndre Jordan. He can do the stuff that those guys did, like run the floor, catch lobs, be a rollman in the PNR, block shots on defense. But to me, he's going to be an even better version of that, because I think he will do even more than that. He's a better passer than those two were. He's a more versatile defensive player than those two were. He probably is a better shooter right now and definitely has more shooting potential than those two as well. So to me, I think like DeAndre Jordan in his prime and Andre Drummond in his prime, a lot of the offense will be running the floor, catching lobs, being a rollman in the PNR. But what separates Duren potentially from those two, and assuming he does develop, is he's going to do so much more. He's going to be a connecting playmaker as a rollman. He has a chance to grow and develop his mid-range jumper to a respectable level, to the point where he can sometimes punish defenses that try and stop the roll. He's somebody that on the other end of the floor isn't just going to be a guy that puts up block numbers. He's going to be able to be versatile and play multiple defensive coverages, be your defensive anchor, be the leader of your defense as a communicator. And that's why I believe he lines up with this concept, because the basic idea of Jalen Duren lines up with those non-offensive big hub all-stars from the mid-2010s, but he's going to be an even better version of that. The potential is there for it. I think Duren has the potential to be one of the best bigs in the league, even if he isn't putting up 25 points per game and 10 rebounds per game. A guy who puts up 15 to 18 points per game, 10 plus rebounds per game, 4 assists per game, maybe more than 2 blocks per game, maybe a steal or 2 a game, while being all defense good, whose offense is based around big man stuff like rolling to the basket and being a lob threat, but also somebody that can somewhat create for himself, can maybe hit a mid-range jumper from time to time to punish defenses for trying to play the role. Somebody that can be a high-level connecting passer as a role man. I think the potential for that kind of player is there, and when you add what he could bring on offense and defense with pretty good all-around numbers, maybe not big scoring numbers, but all-around the numbers will probably be good, and what he does defensively, that is an all-star. That is somebody that maybe if his team is good enough, he could be an all-NBA guy, and also all-defense good. Now, it's no guarantee that he becomes this, obviously. It's no guarantee for anybody to be a star after their rookie season. That's something only time will tell. It's no guarantee that he improves on his shooting and his creation ability the way I believe he can. But the potential is there for him to improve that way and become the star level player that I believe he can become. And regardless of the outcome of his NBA career, he's going to be a good player in the league, barring health. He's just too gifted, too talented, and too smart not to be. I can't wait to see what Duren becomes in his NBA career. I can't wait to see what he does this upcoming season, because I think he's going to have a breakout year too, and have a season that reflects everything that I see in him, and maybe a few others see in him. So the signs of the player that I believe he can become, and make other people realize just how special he could be. And I can't wait to see what this Pistons team becomes in the future in general, because they have a chance to be truly special. But that's the end of this video. If you made it to this point, thank you so much. Again, haven't already, like, subscribe, hit notification bell, notified whenever I release a video. I make videos about basketball all the time, and liking and subscribing are the 2 best ways can help me out in the YouTube algorithm and help me reach my goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Let's try and get 100 likes on this video so YouTube will recommend it to others. And let me know what you think about Jalen Duren in the comment section below. How good do you think he could be? How good do you think this Pistons team could be? Anything like that in the comment section below would be much appreciated. But with that being said, have a nice day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.